and you are watching Web3 TV. I have a special guest today, and he is Rice Crypto. We've been trying to work together for a while now and just kept missing the date or forgetting or, getting sidetracked. And I'm really excited that you are finally here, Chris.
I appreciate it, and I'm so glad to be here. In case people are unaware, we just took turns interviewing each other. So if you're watching this interview on Nicole's channel, make sure you're checking out my channel, my interview with her. We're definitely doing a really cool collaborative effort here, and we want to encourage people to check out both interviews. So I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're not really into my content, you might really be into his. So definitely check it out, Rice Crypto. I'm not going to take it personally.
You produce awesome content. You should never doubt what you're doing.
You know what? Nothing is for everyone, though.
I agree. I'm definitely not for everyone. I'm a little rough around the edges. Some people don't know how to take the mohawk and the tattoos, but I got to be who I am, and it's one of the best things I think I can do.
For sure. I get it. Got to just be real. I think that was something I wrote it on Twitter maybe an hour ago. I think I got the best piece of advice ever. And it was in the, modern world that we live in, everybody's juggling multiple things at one time. Whenever you're juggling, you're never going to be perfect at one thing. So, stop trying to be perfect and just be real.
That's the best way to do it. I mean, I went through life kind of wearing that social mask that you kind of change based off who you're talking to. And a couple of years ago, I liberated myself by just getting rid of the mask and just being who I am as much as possible all the time. And what I mean by that is you may act a different way around your mother, your father, than you do around your friends, than you do in front of a police officer and in court or in church. The only thing I'll do differently is maybe tone down my language just to be respectful around the people I'm at. Not meaning that I'm always vulgar, but I'm definitely going to be respectful of the people I'm around and try to make sure that I'm being mindful of how people feel about things that I may say. And that's not necessarily hiding a part of yourself. That's just being a good human being. Because not everybody, like you said, not everybody's ready for everything. So you got to be really wise with how you choose to present yourself and what you say and do around people.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And so that's something that we have talked about a little bit off camera and just prior to this on screen, is that you and I are sometimes different from some of the other people who work in this space, and that we both kind of have multiple channels or multiple, not everything is all crypto for you, not everything is all crypto for me. So I'm hoping that you can tell us a little bit about your philosophy for melding your multiple related streams of influence.
Okay. So with my channel, I talk about things like cryptocurrency and blockchain. I also talk about economics. I talk about anarchy and voluntaryism. I really feel like all these kind of coincide, especially in the early days of cryptocurrency and blockchain. There's a lot of people had that anarchist, voluntarist mentality. A lot of libertarians were involved in the space. Economics obviously comes into play when we're dealing with money and we're trying to understand how currencies work. So I think that those things are very important as well. And we talk about changing the world with these technologies and these philosophies. And, we can change the world all we want with the technologies. Let's say Bitcoin and blockchain, crypto, it all becomes successful. It's mass adopted and it's part of everyday life. I talk about something also in addition called practice change, which I think kind of puts everything under one umbrella. And we can change the world with technology, but if we don't change who we are as people, starting with myself, then and as a collective, then we're never going to get away from the problems that we've had as humanity. We're just going to have the same problems with new technology. So I really encourage us as a whole to look at how can we change everything? How can we flip the script? How can we get back to where we need to be as human beings and incorporate these technologies and actually change the world in a positive way? And that's kind of what I wanted to do with my channel. I started my channel in January of 2018. and I started creating content somewhere around summer of 2018. I took a little bit of a break. I was dealing with some really heavy stuff. Had to help put away a scammer. Had to deal with DHS, a lot of really crazy stuff. Took a lot of energy away from me. Started working back more hours at my part-time job, and wasn't creating content as regularly. I was contributing with World Alternative Media and putting out videos here and there. But it was May of this past year that I decided to really get back into gear. Like, if I'm going to do this, I need to do this. And even though I feel some people might feel like, I'm talking about a lot of different subjects, I don't always try to intertwine the anarchist voluntarist stuff within the crypto unless it's called for. I don't try to add in any of the practice change stuff unless it's called for. I do in my videos I encourage you to be the change by practicing change. But I really just feel like in my mind, and maybe it's just me, that all these things work together for me to be able to create content that allows for me to be able to speak where I'm coming from. And as an outspoken anarchist, I try to encourage people to educate themselves, to not believe what they're being taught in school, to not believe what you're hearing in the media is to be the truth, because it's very important that people think outside the box and not just accept things for what they are, because things aren't necessarily the way they are because you've been told that's what it is. Right. And because I'm dealing with that, because of those subjects, even though I feel like I've got a lot of high quality interviews and content, I deal with a lot of shadow banning and censorship. Now, as much as I want to see my channel grow, I don't really see myself changing a lot of those things. Now, I might downplay some of it. Once I talk about anarchy and voluntarism enough, people are going to know what it is. I don't need to keep rehashing the same things. I am an anarchist. I am a voluntarist, and it is a part of my cryptocurrency blockchain walk. So it just feels very natural to incorporate them all together.
No, your incorporation of all of those things makes perfect sense to me. It's just, like we talked about this a little bit before. I get it. Like, a lot of times looking into what blockchain is and, how systems of government, of governance work, how the financial system works, really just like looking at all of these broken systems and what happens when we rebuild the systems, I think necessarily eventually transforms the person as well, because you really are, you get to this point where you start to see, oh, we're transforming this, we're transforming that, and you start to question, what you should change about yourself so that you're in line with the values that you're espousing, and like absolutely your ties of anarchism and volunteerism and cryptocurrency and practicing change makes a lot of sense to me. I know that it doesn't always make sense to people who are, brand new, but I get you.
And that's too like what I wanted to do to differentiate myself. There's plenty of currency content creators that are just talking crypto, that even play the game as nicely as they possibly can, where I feel like I'm just like calling out YouTube for all the crap they're doing. I'm not going to say his name, but there's a guy who's like, make sure your notifications are turned on because YouTube's doing funny things. He's trying to be all PC about it. And I respect it. That's the walk he wants to walk. But I feel like if I was just talking about cryptocurrency and blockchain specifically, and that's it, I feel like I would be doing myself an injustice, and people who like to follow me, I feel like I would be doing them an injustice.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what you did tell me earlier was that you're thinking about creating a second YouTube channel that is not about anarchism and voluntarism and cryptocurrency. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I'm still not 100% sure what I'm going to do or if I'm going to do it. Because again, we talked about how time consuming all this is. It's just been an idea that I've been thinking about to try to bring more attention to my YouTube channel without me having to downplay any or water down anything about myself. I've been a musician all my life. I used to sing in metal bands. I've worked for a magazine. I've interviewed bands for quite a few years. So I'd consider doing something in that element, and or possibly I really like watching music reaction videos. We were talking about that. Mm-hmm. And And I really enjoy that. And because I've got such a knowledge base of music, I thought it would work out very well. It wouldn't have to be something that I would have to put a lot of research into. I could literally just pop on a song and just react to it basically, and kind of give my feedback on what I think about it. And in addition to that, Peter McCormick, who I interviewed a couple months back, good friend of mine, um, he obviously is a big cryptocurrency content creator. He's got one of the biggest podcasts that's out, and he's talking about branching out as well. We even talked about possibly doing like a music show together. He's a big metalhead like me, and we grew up in the '90s, so we had kind of talked about doing something very similar to kind of what Eddie Trunk was doing with VH1. Eddie Trunk is like a music encyclopedia.
Okay.
So he was just bringing on a bunch of different rock and roll musicians, heavy metal musicians, and talking about the history of music. Just something I found very interesting. And I have a wealth of information that's just being unused.
Mm-hmm.
I got really obsessed in the music, singing in bands since I was 15, and then DJing and things like that. So it is a possibility that you'll see that. And I'm not sure how I'll promote it. Not even sure how I'd even market it. I'm not even sure if I would even combine it, because all my social media is Rice Crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I would start like a separate Twitter handle, or like we were talking about, maybe focus my Instagram on that kind of element. Because I mean, I'm still Rice, so no matter what, I would still be Rice.
Sure.
So I mean, it just feels natural, and I think it's a way for us to be able to, by expanding out like that, like you had mentioned, same thing that you were possibly going to do. It just gives us a way of being able to bring people who may not be familiar with cryptocurrency and blockchain and some of the philosophies I talk about, to actually learn about it.
Well, and not just to mention, like, being all crypto all the time isn't exactly healthy. That's not like the image I think that we like really want to portray. All of us live all crypto all the time. All we talk about is crypto, which is like totally a reflection of my real life, right? Like I talk about crypto 90% of the time, but I am trying to be just a more balanced and well-rounded human being. And I think that displaying a kind of balance of traits is, to a new audience is potentially a major positive. So I'm definitely looking forward to any content that you might decide to create, even if it has nothing to do with cryptocurrency.
And I'll definitely keep you in the loop. And I'll let everybody know what I'm doing. And I'll be very vocal about it on my channel, stuff like that too, because I would encourage people to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what is it about? So actually, you know what? I've asked you this before and never really gotten a straight answer. What is rice?
It's my last name.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, my name is actually Christopher Paul Rice. So the funny story is when I go by Chris. So when you write down last name, first name, middle initial, it's Rice Crispy. So when I started DJing, I was DJ Rice Krispie or DJ Crispy Rice, just depending on where I was at and whether they wanted to let me use the Rice Krispie name. And it just that's just kind of been my thing. I was actually bullied in school. A lot of kids would make fun of my last name. I got some of the most awfulest stuff. I mean, I got Uncle Ben's Rice, the San Francisco treat, Snap, Crackle, Pop, all this stuff, like white rice, brown rice, dirty rice, and pork fried rice. I get it all. So it was just like, I just owned up to it. I just became Rice. And when I first started the channel, I would always say Chris Rice Crypto and then Rice Crypto. And the problem with the word Rice Crypto, even though I like it and it sounds catchy, it's hard for a lot of people to actually say it. And what I mean by that is, unless you say it regularly, the first thing your tongue wants to say is Rice Crispo, because the way the combinations are, and you're used to Rice Krispie. So even John McAfee, he's like telling people, I won't tell Rice Crispo no, but he can't even pronounce my name right. So I'm like, I am Rice. I am like Cher and Madonna. I am Rice. I might even just break it down to like the emoji, just a little rice ball emoji.
That would be very unique. Cool.
But that is,
Yeah, so
I
I
do
was
like
always
having.
thinking that it's like rest, ice, compress, elevate. And I'm like, what does that have to do with crypto? Like maybe you know the whole thing is this, you know, like the acronym for when you get a sports injury. That's totally like, that's where my head was.
Oh, and in two, I was thinking, which totally is completely backfired on me, is like it seems like a lot of Asian countries are into cryptocurrency. So I'm like, Asian people, you know, they love rice, obviously, and that's not like a racial thing. It's kind of a fact. I love rice, and a lot of people like rice, but it's very predominant in Asian countries. So I was like, maybe I'll be popular in the Asian countries, and you know, but the majority of my audience, the 50% of my audience, tends to be in the United States and a lot of Europe.
Have you ever looked at like having your like getting subtitles in Mandarin or something? Like I mean I wonder, you know, if that could change or like, you know, having it dubbed or something.
That would be cool. I would like to meet some people in some of those countries, and because there are actually are platforms like YouTube in those countries that we're not even aware of because we don't speak those languages. So yeah, it would be great to be able to have like even somebody translate over top my videos. Because I think those things would be very important to be able to broaden out. But then I feel like I'd have to learn one of those languages, and I tried learning. I do know a little bit of Spanish, but I took Spanish in high school and I wasn't exactly the best at learning another language. And I do not think I want to do very well with trying to learn like Mandarin or Chinese.
That's definitely one of the things is that like trying to learn you know an Asian language as an adult is like you know trying to learn a Latin language as a teenager is difficult in itself, but then as an adult, you know, trying to learn to speak Mandarin or Japanese or you know whatever else, it's a whole other animal, you know. So definitely, if anybody is watching this and speaks a language that you want to dub over Chris's content in, you should get a hold of him, right?
Well, yeah, if we do that too, I mean, I'm going to end up trying to connect that person up with everybody so that we can try to do it for everyone because I think that we need to get all of our messages out as a whole, as a collective.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Does anybody speak another language that they want to contribute? Because we want to talk to you.
Email ricecrypto@gmail.com.
Or Nicole at 007nerd.com.
That would be a really cool idea. I've never actually thought about trying to talk to people about something like that, but it is something worth looking into.
That's like on the fly. I just
But you
came
know,
up with it.
we talked about content creating and how hard it is and how much work goes into this. I mean, I mentioned it sometimes in some videos, but people have no clue how time consuming all this is. Like when you're doing this by yourself, like me and you are doing, and not working with other people, you know, I'm having to schedule the interviews, I'm having to do the interviews, I'm having to edit the interviews, I'm having to upload the interviews, do thumbnails, promote, interact with people commenting on the different social media sites on YouTube, the different platforms. So a lot of this becomes more a full-time job, and it's very, very time consuming. It's
Particularly if you're
insane.
not making a full-time income. That's something that has definitely changed for me just in the last couple of weeks, you know, since that last media company that I was working with went under. I no longer have, I mean, that was kind of what was great for that 2 month period where I was getting paid a, you know, a salary in addition, and then, you know, whatever, I didn't really have to worry about doing something else to hustle so that I was making money because I could, it wasn't, you know, a large sum, but it was enough that I could live on and support myself, you know, in the meantime. Definitely just knowing that I no longer have that option, like that makes things infinitely more complicated because even then buying stuff that you might need to, you know, do your video editing for, you know, props for your background, your lighting, whatever, all of that changes. I mean, it was hard enough when I was getting paid. I can't, I'm like, this is a whole new world.
I'm kind of glad you mentioned that because, like, some people, you know, when I talk about the work that we're putting into this, some people don't realize the sacrifice that we make too. Like, when I went to Miami and just got back this past Friday, which would have been the 17th, I believe, because I want to have the interview that I did with you uploaded tomorrow. I'm not sure when you can have yours up, just to
I'm
give
planning on
people,
tomorrow.
just to give people an idea. So the 17th is when I got back from North American Bitcoin Conference in Miami Blockchain Week. I was supposed to go to my part-time job that I worked 2 days a week that night, and my boss had told me, as I told him I was on my way, he's like, "Well, I got you covered," and the agreement that we had was as long as I get there by a certain time, I was going to be able to work, because I definitely depend on some of this income that I get on my fiat income to help pay my regular bills.
Mhm.
And I mean, actually, I haven't heard back from my boss. Like, I asked him, do I still have a job there? And he hasn't responded to me. And I've been talking to some people in the space, and I might be at a point now where I'm like going to have to like dive into the pool and just go all for it and just like put everything I got into this thing. Because if I take the other route and go and try to find another job, it might put a position where I'm not going to be able to put as much content out. So I feel like, even though I'm not quite monetizing it quite yet, I feel like there's a lot of people in the space that are supporting me.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to support me trying to make this transition and just like jumping into the deep end of the pool and just going all crypto. Um, and it's becoming, it's been very humbling. I talked to a couple of people just over the past couple of days about this. That's what one of those meetings I was telling you ran a little bit long today was about.
Mhm.
Me trying to figure out ways that I can actually make money in this space, and be able to survive.
Yeah, no, that's a it's a
But it's
real
because I've been taking so much time off of work going to these events, so I can put out content, so I can network and meet people and have these interviews. And it's like people don't realize not only the work but the sacrifices that we have to make to be able to make this content. And I don't ever want this content. Now I am going to start a Patreon channel, but that's something separate. But I don't want my content like this to have to be charging people for anything. My Patreon channel that I'm going to be starting here real soon is just so I can get down and dirty and just really, really completely not have to worry about a filter at all. Because even though there's a lot more I'd love to say, but there's some things that I can't say, or I would just completely be destroying myself on YouTube. And I want to utilize the platform of YouTube to be able to push people to these other platforms. YouTube is the second biggest search engine behind Google.
Mhm.
So I
Doesn't
mean,
Google own YouTube?
they do, but I
Mhm.
mean, as far as those are the two top search engines, and if YouTube is just so used in everyday life of people. So I want to use the tools of the system and push people to these other elements. So I've kind of got to be a nice version of rice, as nice, and had to keep everything as clean as possible. I mean, now that none of my content is made for children, I mean, I should be able to loosen up a little bit more. But I feel like the Patreon channel, and I'm not even going to be charging that much. It's going to get people a little bit more higher quality content, and a little bit more complete 100% realness, where you're getting about 99 right now.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because
definitely. That's something I mean, that's something that we should absolutely acknowledge. There are things that I can't say, I can't write on my blog, I can't say on my YouTube channel because it would potentially like alienate my relationship with people, with certain people that are, critical to continuing to do this. But like people have a right to know some of that information. Like, it's never because I'm trying to keep secrets or,
right.
you know.
And having a Patreon channel would, something like that affords that opportunity as well.
Yeah.
It gives an opportunity because you're only going to have people who really like your content that are willing to pay. And those people that are willing to pay, even if it's $5 a month, are going to want to hear that content. And it's going to be that much more valuable to them. And then that $5 a month from 200 people could pay my bills, and I can keep doing this thing, and I could put videos out every day instead of putting out videos 3 to 4 times a week. So that's kind of my goal with this.
Well, awesome. We definitely, I, for one, certainly hope that you're successful. Really briefly on your channel earlier, we were just talking about like potentially, getting a group of content creators to sort of form our own media group. I definitely think that that is something that we should explore, if only for the fact that if we like, get 5 people to form an LC or, what is it called? An LLC, we can get health insurance.
Could, yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, then you're looking into the whole, just the whole paradigm of participating in all the government systems, which I try not to do.
For sure, for sure. I mean, like, I'm a mom. I like kind of, I don't know, having health insurance would be good. I haven't had it for about a year, and like I've been lucky and, healthy, but
Well,
it would,
if there's any cryptocurrency companies out there, blockchain based companies that do provide health insurance that are hiring, that think that mine or Nicole's skills might be something that you need in your company, please reach out to us, because we would definitely love to take advantage of what you have to offer.
yes. And even like we could work together, we're friends.
Definitely. Definitely. No, we are. I mean, that's the thing I love about this community. I mean, anybody who I'm bringing on my show, as far as content creators, are people who I have a lot of love for and definitely want to see succeed. And I can't say that for everybody in the space. I can't say, but at the same time, you're not going to hear me talking negatively about those people either.
Yeah, for sure. There's nobody who I just like, can't stand and, would be upset if I saw them succeed. It's really like different people have different information and like, interpret information differently. And sometimes like maybe there's something that I would feel the same way about if I had the same information, or that, somebody else would feel the same. I'm always open to share information with anybody. I don't know.
You have nothing to hold back.
I had nothing.
You're being
Nothing.
transparent. That's good.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Anyway,
It
so
feels
I
good.
guess.
Sorry.
What? Sorry.
I was just saying it feels good to be able to be transparent and not feel like you have to keep up with like something that's not true, where people tell lies and all this stuff. It's good to be an open, transparent person. So I commend that.
For sure, for sure. What's funny is that I applied for a job at a blockchain PR company that I don't want to name in case they, don't want me to, like just a couple of days ago, because someone from the company posted about it on Twitter. Immediately after sending them my resume, I was getting back on Twitter to, just talk to some people. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to stop, just like totally being myself on Twitter, because some people from that company started following me. And then I realized, nope, it's just not going to work. Like,
Right.
It's not going to work. Like, this is just who I am,
Well, and that's kind of the cool thing about looking like I look. If somebody reaches out to me, and then they know who I am and what I'm about. So they've already kind of went through the screening process in a way, because anybody who's going to tell me, maybe you should cut your mohawk off, or maybe you should cover your tattoos up, then you obviously don't know me, and then you haven't done your research, and I'm just going to tell you, have a good one. No, exactly.
Yep. Well, I don't know. I think that like maybe we should wrap it up. I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to?
The only thing that I want to tell people, in case they didn't catch it, is that, like, again, I did interview you on my channel, and I do encourage people to check that interview out. If this is your first time ever checking out Nicole or even me in any capacity, please, check out both of our channels. Give us a subscribe to our channel, support what we do, comment, but most importantly, definitely check out the interview I did with Nicole.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely check out some of Rice's other content. I love particularly your, shorter pieces. I mean, your interviews are great, but for people who are maybe in a time crunch, like your, short, what is money, 3-minute videos are like really, really stupendous. I recommend it. Rice.
Yeah. And it's, and thank you. And when you talk about the interviews, I try to make them as interesting as possible, so that people, when they are 30, 45 minutes long, that people want to listen to them, that they want to listen to the whole thing, because I try to provide as much value as I can. And I do try to keep the interviews as short as possible. But sometimes when you're interviewing somebody like Roger Ver, John McAfee, it's kind of hard to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, there's nothing simple about those people and their stories and what's going on. I mean, even an hour isn't even close to enough time to really dive into what's going on there. So I think it's great to have both kinds. For anybody who doesn't know this and is like interested in watching longer videos, but maybe doesn't have the time, you can speed up your YouTube videos by clicking on that gear and then increasing the time. And you can increase it slowly at first, like maybe try 1.25. And if you feel like you can handle a little bit more, maybe go all the way up to 2 eventually. Some videos you can, some videos you can't, but that has been a huge time saver for me personally.
Yeah, that's definitely some great advice. I do that too.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Rice Crypto, go follow him. I'm Nicole with Web3 TV, and I will see you again soon.